College football had themselves a very busy week with hearings for their name, image, and likeness with the Senate Commerce Committee. I want to talk about that and kind of how ridiculous things are. All that coming up in a couple seconds. What's good, everybody? It's your boy Jay here with Unfair Sports, where we take a pensive approach to the sports conversation. And on this episode, we're going to talk about the college football hearing with the Senate Commerce Committee, talking about name, image, and likeness that happened this week. Let's break that down. So college football had themselves a very busy week. The main headline should be about the Senate Commerce Committee with the federal government having a hearing with select witnesses to discuss the name, image, and likeness potential, legislation that could come across for the nation, for college football players and their ability to actually make money off of who they are. And so let's talk about that first. I'll have another episode that will be linked at the end of this that will talk about the other big headline that hit college football literally 2 days later. And I'll explain why that actually is kind of interesting as well. So with college football's busy week, the Senate Commerce Committee held some hearings on June 9th, which was Wednesday. And they wanted to discuss about putting together the framework for a federal law or nationwide set of laws around players being able to profit off of their name, image, and likeness. Now, the Senate Commerce Committee, the Senate Committee actually included some groups of coaches and NCAA officials. And the one thing that I did notice from this, notably absent from all of this, was actual NCAA players. Now, if you recall back when everything was going on with the coronavirus pandemic and college football was potentially canceled, a lot of players kind of got together. You had the Pac-12 United movement. The Big Ten had a movement as well. And they were basically wanting to get paid. If they're going to play in a pandemic to make other people money, they want to make money too. And so this has been a hot button topic for a while, where everyone is discussing why players should be paid and why they shouldn't. And believe me, leave me with all your rebuttals on why they shouldn't get paid. I don't want to hear it at this point. We've gotten way past that. Things need to be moving forward. So there's a few notable things that came from this hearing. I kind of want to point them out and talk through what it seems like the issues are and what could come forth when it comes to the NIL bills potentially being passed at a federal level due to the state. So Gonzaga's head coach, Mark Few, was at the hearing, and he pointed out one thing, and this is what he said, and I quote, a system for NIL without federal law to protect the recruiting environment could lead to disastrous consequences. And I'll give him this. Mark Few is 100% correct. Now, Coach Few wasn't coming to this with this should not happen. He's more so saying that we need to hurry up and have something in place. For some reason, the NCAA doesn't feel like they need to put it in place, but we need to have something in place before July 1 hits and things really, Pandora's box really gets opened. And this is what I mean. What he's talking about is that 6 states have passed legislation to where athletes can profit from their NIL, name, image, and likeness, and it will all go in effect in July. 6 of those will go in effect in July, basically 3 weeks from now. 5 states, Alabama, Florida, Georgia, Mississippi, as well as New Mexico, will have theirs kick in July 1, while Arizona's is set to kick in July 23rd. Not sure why the 23rd, but I'm not here to try to speculate on that. But then there's another 12 states that have also passed some legislation that will go in effect over the next 4 years. The NCAA's argument has been that they can't supersede state law, and so them putting together some sort of framework and everything, it would be dependent upon what the states want to do. And so they need the feds to basically tell them what to do in this situation. And obviously, I'm not smart enough to understand why. So we're going to assume that they are working in good faith, when in all actuality, we know that they're not acting in good faith whatsoever. But they need the feds to pass something. And so this is where we're at today. Well, the next thing that's going to happen is the Senate's going to have another hearing, probably another few set of hearings. And the next one, which is scheduled for June 17th, will actually have players present. Well, they will give their opinions on name, image, and likeness and how things should go. Because they're trying to put together the framework, and the goal, it appears, is to have something passed federally before July 1 when the other states do it. Because, like I said, Few has some great points with this. Those 6 states that are going to pass something July 1, that is a recruiting advantage because they can tell their players, hey, you can make money off your name, image, and likeness with us. Even though I talked about this with Georgia and their legislation where they were saying that they're going to allow schools to take a portion of their money, or schools have the option to take a portion of these players' money and redistribute it to other sports, which is probably the most egregious thing, just so freaking asinine to even think to do that. But, of course, the whole goal here is to keep the players broke. So if you take money away from them, it takes away a lot of their power, even though we're seeing major flexes in power with the transfer portal, and I love the chaos behind it. But anyway, besides that, Few on the recruiting advantages is really spot on because they can tell those kids that exact statement, and then from there, the other schools can't really say anything. Like, he's in Washington. He's built a pretty good powerhouse at Gonzaga, and they've been consistent winners. They just can't win championships, which is okay. It's just they're for them getting there on a regular basis, getting deep in the playoffs in the NCAA tournament on a regular basis is a big deal. And for a lot of other schools, they just want to be competent. That's really what matters. And so when it comes to recruiting, it's going to be tough to get an occasional 5-star player here and there when they can go to any of these other 6 states or the other 12 states once they pass their legislation to actually get paid for who they are. Doing little things whenever they find time to do it, but doing little things like camps, doing social media campaigns and just putting their name on stuff. They'll have the option to be able to participate in a lot of that stuff, which to me is something they should have been able to do from the beginning. They're the celebrities. They're the ones that are putting these schools, even though the schools are the names we pay attention to the most, they're the reason why we care about the schools. Schools that aren't winning, we don't really care about the brand. And so the argument that, college football is about the name and it's about the school is ridiculous because there's some argument to that. There's some truth to that, but we have to remember that usually winning is the reason why people go to some of these schools. Perfect example. I know Alabama, they saw a massive increase in enrollment and applications to go to that school because of all the championships they were winning under Nick Saban. Do you think students were just going to go there while they were a losing program? No. School kids growing up enjoy seeing the schools on TV and they want to root for those schools. So a lot of them will go to some of these schools just because of the name of the school, not because of programs they have or anything. They'll go just because they know that they're going to root for a school that has a national championship. So yes, all these universities have built-in fan bases every year that comes in. And so because of that, yes, the school will be able to profit from the opportunity of winning. But we also got to remember that the players are the ones that are playing on the field, on the court, in the arena, and they're the reason why they're winning. So next week, we'll have another hearing with players, and we actually hear their side of things, and we can move hopefully forward and get some legislation put in. I'm just hoping that they don't screw these players over by trying to control how much money they can make, because I don't care what any of you say. If you go to school on an academic scholarship and you get a job and the academic scholarship has extra money in it and you take the money, no one's telling you that you have to redistribute it to other kids so that they can get a fair shot at said scholarships. They don't care. They don't care that if your parents make millions of dollars and you get an academic scholarship, they're not going to say, well, you shouldn't take this academic scholarship because your parents can pay for it. They don't care. That's the only thing we don't care about. We only care about controlling these kids, which is ridiculous. And so next up, I want to talk about The funny thing that happened a couple of days later and how the NCAA found a way to bury this NIL story. Coming up in a minute.